Hey, what's up, guys? Joe Madden here for Picks and Parlays. We're talking the late Thanksgiving game, 8:20 Eastern. We'll see this game kick off between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens were a 10.5-point favorite on those opening lines, but the news of Joe Burrow getting back in the lineup here for the Cincinnati Bengals has brought faith in on the Bengals. We're now seeing sevens across the board, with a 6.5 sitting out there on Bet365. As for the total, we've seen it move up. 49.5 was the best number at opening. Now 52.5 hanging around. Pinnacle has a 52.5. Hard Rock has a 52. And we are still seeing FanDuel and DraftKings posting that 51.5. So definitely shop those lines depending on which side of the total you like. Now, this is going to be a big game between both of these teams. AFC North matchup. Thanksgiving night, and the Cincinnati Bengals hit the road playing Lamar and the Baltimore Ravens, who've won 5 straight games after a 1-5 start. So the Ravens have been rolling, but interesting to note, Lamar Jackson hasn't thrown a touchdown in his last 2 games. A lot of criticism coming against Lamar, even though he's been able to get these wins. A win's a win, you guys. It doesn't matter if it's ugly or not. Now, can the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow back come out here and get the upset? Money line for the Cincinnati Bengals, they were right around that plus 270 mark. And if you think the upset is in the making, well, that would definitely make history. Biggest upsets on Thanksgiving since 1980. In 1993, we saw the Dolphins as a 10-point dog upset the Dallas Cowboys. In 2003, the Packers as an 8.5-point dog get the win over Detroit. 2015, the Chicago Bears, a 7.5-point dog, got the win over the Green Bay Packers. And in 1986, the Seattle Seahawks, as a 7.5-point dog, got the win over the Dallas Cowboys. Now, weather does come into play. This is going to be a cold weather game, and Lamar has started 6 home games in Baltimore with temperatures 35 degrees or lower. In those games, you guys, in the cold weather, late in the season, he has been phenomenal. 6-0 straight up and against the spread in those games, beating his opponents by an average of, wait for this, 19.7 points per game. What will Joe Burrow be able to do coming back from injury? Is that toe at 100%? There's so many question marks, but with how long he has been out of the lineup, I expect him to come out strong in this matchup. We look at last season, and the 2 matchups between these teams last season went right down to the wire. The Ravens took both of the games, winning one game by a single point, and the other one they did win by 3 in overtime. This should be in a divisional matchup, be a tight one here. When we look at Lamar, though, Lamar has had his struggles. And like I said at the start of this video, we're getting a lot of criticism on Lamar. He hasn't been throwing those touchdown passes. He's rushed for 14 yards or fewer in 3 of his last 4 games and eclipsed 200 passing yards just once in that span. He threw for 8 touchdown passes against the Cincinnati Bengals last season, though, you guys, in 2 games, 8 touchdown passes. So will we see in this Lamar look like the Lamar Jackson that we're all so used to out there on the field? I think he possibly could have that big explosive game, but I'm not sure I'm willing to put my money there. I think we should put our money on Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has proven that he can come out just solid out there. In week 12 versus the New York Jets, he did find the end zone twice. Over his last 6 games, rushing for at least 64 yards in all of them while scoring 5 touchdowns on the ground. He carried the ball over 20 times against the Jets and has at least 18 carries in his last 6 games. I'm looking for Derrick Henry to just come out nice and strong out there on the ground. Now, looking at Cincy, looking at their defense, allowed the most points in the NFL. 360 points in the league, allowing more than 30 points per game and allowing the most passing yards. So without still Trey Hendrickson, one of their best defenders out there, I do think Lamar is in for a day where we do see him go over 200 yards with his arms, where we do see Derrick Henry run the rock, pound it down their throats, and is able to put up some nice yardage. So we will circle Derrick Henry for his props. We're going to look at Lamar too. Probably his longest might not be out of question, but we're going to look at a couple things over there. T. Higgins is out with concussion protocol. Jamar Chase is back from suspension. Now, Jamar Chase has 79 receptions on the season for 861 yards. And you look at the connection between him and Joe Burrow, and it's second to none. Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase will be something we'll see a lot in this game. So let's jump into some of those player props out there, you guys. Before we jump into the player props, I want to remind you of everything going on at Picks and Parlays. Now, if you're looking for the Weekend Warrior, it is still around, but the one promotion I really want to remind you guys of is the Thanks 33. The Thanks 33, if you haven't heard of, for the entire week, take 33% off your entire cart with code THANKS33. It's our biggest site-wide savings of the year. Everything is included. Daily picks and best bets, full season packages, all access subscriptions, flex plans, and pick your team. Already discounted specials and promos. Every sport, every handicapper, every package. No limits, no exclusion, no minimums. Load up your cart, apply Thanks 33 at checkout, and grab the biggest savings of the year before Monday at midnight. So it is a combination of Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and Cyber Monday. So it runs till Monday at midnight. You guys don't delay. Head on over there today. Well, at least after you finish watching this video, because I got so much more. You guys do me a solid. Also hit that like button, hit that subscribe button over here on YouTube. It really does help us keep getting these free videos coming out to you. Also, let me know who you're liking in this matchup. Love to hear where you're rolling with. If you've got a same game parlay, if you got a first touchdown prop, I want to hear it for sure. Jumping back into this game, I do think this is one where you look for both Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow to have success with their arms. Lamar's prop is 234.5, and I know all the criticism about him not throwing those passing touchdowns, about them getting the wins, but them being ugly. But I do think over 234.5 against a team that allows the most passing yards of the whole league, you gotta buy in on Lamar. I'll take him over that, and I would also look at him for over his passing touchdowns, over 1.5 passing touchdowns. So the books, when he hasn't got a touchdown in the last 2 games, it's minus 230. The books are expecting him to have some great plays out there with his arm. So if you can ult it to over 2.5, I don't hate it. Now, Joe Burrow's number over 1.5 is minus 122. Joe Burrow over 251.5. Passing yards is also in play, but I would rather instead look at Jamar Chase, because I think Jamar Chase is in for a big one in this game. Jamar Chase over 92.5 for his receiving prop. Now, I know a lot of you will say, well, look what the defense of the Baltimore Ravens has been doing. This defense definitely has played better over this winning streak, allowing an average of 13.4 points per game. But can they slow down the Bengals offense? I don't think so. You look at the quarterbacks they've faced over the 5-game winning streak, and I think they're going to have their hands full with Joe Burrow, even if he's only at 90%. They faced Tyrod Taylor, Dylan Gabriel, JJ McCarthy, and Joe Burrow last season versus the Ravens was able to put up 820 passing yards in the 2 games. I say his number's only 251.5. Maybe we should look at that to the over, but I do like Jamar Chase. I think Chase is going to be in for that big day. I think he's going to be fed the ball. I don't mind firing him up to 100 plus receiving yards out there, 92.5. It's one of those numbers. I do think he hits 100. Now, as for the Baltimore Ravens and who I would look for, Zay Flowers is always a prime target out there for Lamar. His number coming in at 65.5, but I prefer Mark Andrews' numbers. Mark Andrews coming in at 37.5. I do think he has to hold onto that ball. We saw some drop balls in the last one by Mark Andrews, but he's such a great target out there for Lamar, and I do think Lamar still has that faith in him. We do have to talk the rushing props here for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's rushing prop is 90.5. You guys, that is so high. But I do think he nicely clears the 90.5. I will gladly put it in there. I would also look at firing up his numbers as well. I would look at Derrick Henry to the over. I think this is one of those games where Derrick Henry feasts, Lamar still throws it up. We see Joe Burrow connect with Jamar Chase. We see those long, deep passes between the two of them. And actually, while we talk about that, I did want to look at Joe Burrow for his longest pass completion. That number coming in at 23.5 only. That's light. Lamar's only 20.5, and Lamar's had those struggles as of late. But I do think we'll see both of them go over that. That receiving prop for Jamar Chase, like I said, it's a high number, but I think he clears 100. His longest reception coming in at 25.5. I would look at Joe Burrow over the 23.5. If he's firing that ball down the field, I do think it goes to Jamar Chase. So interesting to see the books are off on those numbers. Normally you see a quarterback with a higher number and you see the receiver with that lower number and not the reverse. I do think Mark Andrews will get those looks from Lamar Jackson as well. Talking the touchdown props, you guys know I love this market. Derrick Henry, unbettable at minus 230, unless you're looking for the first touchdown at plus 390 or 2+ touchdowns at plus 250. I don't love the 2+ touchdown market, but I do think he's going to run the ball down the throats here of the Cincinnati Bengals. Jamar Chase to get in the end zone. Nice pass from Joe Burrow. It's juicy at minus 120, but I definitely can see it coming into play. I will circle Mark Andrews at plus 100 for that touchdown as well for the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, so I know this is a divisional matchup, you guys, but with that total, I have to go to the over. Now, you're still able to get a couple of 51.5s out there. You got a 51.5 at Caesars, a 51.5 at FanDuel, as well as DraftKings, and that's where I'm going to go. If this game starts off slow and we see that total drop, then I would be looking to live bet it, come back in, especially if we're getting the high 40 numbers, like a 48, 49, coming back in on that over in a divisional matchup. It's always hard to take an over, especially with what we've seen in these primetime games, being a little bit of a snooze fest. But I look at Joe Burrow coming back. I look at Lamar needing to prove that he has the ability to have a nice, pretty win, not the dirty win that we've been seeing that he's been getting that criticism for. So give me the over. I'll take the over 51.5. I think this one has every possibility of hitting 55 points in this game. So if you're only getting a 52.5, you're not getting the best of the numbers, but I can still get behind it. 55 points. I do think Baltimore wins, but since he covers, give me the Cincinnati Bengals plus the 7, you guys. 7.5s are taken off the board. There are 6.5 starting to pop. So make sure if you're grabbing Cincy that you grab them plus all of the points. I don't foresee an upset, but I won't be putting the Ravens as a survivor pick or in a long shot money line parlay. They killed me last week versus the Jets. They made me sweat out my second chance survivor. It was absolutely nasty. So if anyone's looking to put a survivor pick in this one, man, I would be terrified with the Baltimore Ravens. Of course, I don't have them left, but I'm glad I don't have to sweat them out in this one. I think this is going to be a field goal style of game. Could this be a game that we go to overtime? I'm absolutely hoping so. One of their meetings last season went to overtime, with the Ravens winning that by a field goal. The other meeting, don't forget, the Ravens only won by 1 point. This game screams tight like those two games did last year. You guys, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your friends and loved ones, or to reach out to those that you haven't talked to in a while, friends and family. If you got that lonely neighbor next door, maybe do something a little nice this Thanksgiving for someone that could use a smile, use a happy Thanksgiving wish. So you guys, all the best in all of your bets. Let's make some freaking money out there. Enjoy Thursday football. We'll see you next time. And you know the drill. Until next time, let's make some freaking money. Stay hot.